Today I'd like to go over with you guys a very powerful mechanic in the game of Hearts of Iron 4, and that's combat tactics. So combat tactics are chosen by the offensive general and the defensive general, one tactic apiece, in land combat. You can see these tactics under the bubbles that come up over your division's heads as they're attacking or defending. And when you click into that, you can see what the offensive general has chosen and what the defensive general has chosen. So there seems to be two different ways that the tactics are determined. And first off, it's whatever your leader's skill points are. So I am assuming that if you're attacking, it would be your leader's attack skill points. And then if you're defending, it would be the leader's defense skill points. And those are calculated head to head. So if the attacker had 5 and the defender had 4, then a second roll is then calculated, and that's the Reconnaissance Advantage. And the recon values are determined. Let's see here. Reconnaissance Advantage is determined by comparing the sum of recon values in all divisions in combat on each side. So I'm assuming if you have more divisions on one side than the other, you'll have a bit of advantage in that area. And also if you have recon, support recon, things like that, well, then you can get a bonus that can be as high as 5 leader skill points. So if you have two massive armies on each side and they have all the reconnaissance maxed out, it's basically going to come down to the raw head-to-head leader skill points. So you've got your leader skill points, and then you take the reconnaissance skill points on each side and stack them up, which one is higher, then that determines who gets to pick their tactic second. And second is better than first because the general that picks their tactic second can pick a counter tactic. And you see the counter in this, the counter tactic in this column right here. So if I have a general that's on the offense and he was unlucky, he had less points, and he basically picked Assault, which gives you a 25% bonus to attack damage. The defender, if they had a better combat tactic roll, would be able to counter that and then do counterattack. And then because that's countered, counterattack gives a plus 25% to the defender's damage. So that it's quite powerful having your leader skill points high. And it's not just their overall skill points. It's like you need to, if you're going to be on the offensive, you need to pick leaders with high individual offensive skill points. And then likewise on the defensive, you need to pick leaders with high defensive skill points. So that is the first huge thing that I realized about combat tactics. The second thing is that these individual traits that you can give your generals and your field marshals matter quite a bit, especially when you're calculating combat tactics. So it seems to me after reviewing these tactics that are offensive here in pink, aggressive assaulter, panzer leader, trickster, and combined arms experts are really powerful. So if you had a trickster and a panzer leader, it really wouldn't matter because they both can do encirclement tactics. But I don't think that there's any... I think Guderian might be a trickster and a panzer leader. But the thing about trickster is trickster gives you a lot more defensive combat tactics. So trickster is a really good trait, and I think that's why they debuffed it, I think 2 or 3 things. It was probably like Waking the Tiger that they took a lot of trickster traits away from the generals, I think. Um, so anyway, if you have these different leader traits, you either have these tactics available to you, or it's a higher chance that you pick said tactic. So for instance, Encirclement, first off, if you have Panzer Leader, it's available for your general to choose. Then the weight of picking Encirclement is +8. And what do you get with Encirclement? So you get a raw bonus to attack damage of 25%. The defender does 5% less damage, and the combat width of your divisions is increased by 50%. So if you're attacking with 20 width, you're effectively attacking with 40 width. That's insane. Well, actually, I'm sorry. So if it was 20 width, you'd be attacking with 30 width. But still, increasing the the combat width of your division is very important. It's better if you have larger combat widths. So this tactic of encirclement is countered by tactical withdrawal. So you can see that it's so important to have your generals, in this case, attack rating be high, because even if you get that encirclement tactic off, it can still be countered. So going down and looking at the defensive traits, basically Trickster and Defensive Doctrine are really good if you're going to be on the defensive. And I think that Trickster is good on the offensive as well, obviously because of what I stated before, the encirclement tactic. But eventually your assault is going to grind down, or you need a holding force behind your spearhead to maintain the front. You're going to be defending eventually. So having a Trickster maybe following your spearhead would be really good, because they can hold really good. Look at all these tactics that they have available to them that debuff assault. They have tactical withdrawal, ambush, guerrilla tactics, which gives the enemy -70 to their attack damage. That's insane. And then the last trait that I see here is Unyielding Defender, which just basically, if your general picks counterattack, the weight of it is going to be increased. So I think he's going to pick it more often if you have Unyielding Defender. And that gives a +25% to defensive combat damage. There are also these different items down below: close combat, tactical withdrawal, seize bridge, hold bridge. You know, I guess if you're going up against a bridge or you're trying to withdraw, these tactics would come into play. As you can see, Trickster again comes up. So it seems like if you had a Trickster with a high or maybe a vanilla attack and defensive bonus, maybe 4 and 4 or 3 and 3, that guy would be very useful. He would be like a jack of all trades. So when you're doing your general builds, think about that. Prioritize Trickster higher in almost all cases because of their versatility. And then if you're going to be on the offense, prioritize Panzer Leader and Aggressive Assaulter. And if you're going to be on the defense, prioritize Unyielding Defender or Defensive Doctrine. But if they do not, if your general then cannot back that up with leader skill points and whatever you're trying to do, don't pick them. So if their skill points are all 1, but they're like, oh, it's great, they've got an Unyielding Defender, consider not picking them over another general. So I hope this helps you guys out. I think that combat tactics are usually just ignored by most players, and I think a lot of players don't even know about this system. So please leave your comments down below, comments or questions. I glossed over a lot of information, but I'm trying to boil everything down to give you guys the information that you need to play the game. The game is very complex. You need to have overarching kind of maxims to guide your gameplay. So I hope I achieved that in this video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.